Well, this is a
Welcome
bit
to my
different of a video.
world.
Yes, welcome to Audrey's world, and welcome back to the channel. As we stare at Ayaka. Um, Today is going to be a different style video that I'm trying out with some of my closer friends, and also, just to try out different types of content. And today we're just going to be chilling on Genshin, doing some domain runs while talking about just things going on in our lives. And yeah, let's see how that goes. So where are we going for the domains?
Let me think. Okay.
Oh yeah, we were talking
I'm
about relationships and
yes.
having this
So
unequal essential
let
balance. You can continue. Yeah.
let me explain first, give context, because context is important in
Yeah, of
modern
course.
debate. Well, let's just say that I recently came out of a and not to say the very long term one, but extremely serious to the point where we've both meet each other's parents, family members, and we're very close. And for like not like the most part, but like half of it, we were doing somewhat of a long distance.
Right.
They're like because we go to different schools and we have to visit each other. And for the most part, I tried to make it work, but it ended up didn't work because we pretty much fell apart at the end. And
Oh no.
the breakup, to say the least, wasn't ugly, but it was definitely traumatizing. It happened really out of the blue when somebody promised you literally like a week ago that he wouldn't drop you out of the blue. So I was like, why did this all happen? And like, and they get hit by the response of like, relationship don't work that way. And I think after that, and based on all of my previous like relationships,
I only
I'm
wish life
starting
would be
to
so leisurely as
get
this a little more
scared
often.
of
How great
like
of me.
actual serious relationship. Not that I don't want it, to be completely clear about it. Like I want someone that I can like literally morph my soul with, but it's just really scary because everybody has like I always tell you like, oh, you got to pick the right person, like you got to be
So this is a
careful
day
like
in
who
the life
you
of the
like
traveler.
date or who you go hang out with because like they have a strong influence on you, but it's also like you never really know what the other person can be like until they really show their true colors. And sometimes it takes like weeks, months, even a year for them to really show what type of problem they might have, or not even
Right.
problem, just what type of person they are in general. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
as it ends, it's like a very excruciating pain. I think I've never
Right.
been this like not even depressed, just very much in a very down and like dark place for the past week. And
Hmm.
yes, slowly I am coming out of this shadow period, but
Right.
it leaves an impact on you, and probably more than I can now imagine. And it might have lasting effects. I'm not even sure, but it's just scary thinking about going through the entire process again because not that I'm back in the dating world, but maybe eventually I will be. And how is that going to play out in, like my future relationships now that I am so scared of I think I'm even more scared of losing people at this point, just and it can be a recipe for disaster, and
Yeah,
we don't know
definitely.
yet because I'm still very much healing from what
Right.
happened, and the wound is still pretty recent. Maybe I'll change my mind later, but as of now, I'm definitely not emotionally available, like, for anybody to, like, come into my life right now, friendship,
Hmm. Right. Right.
relationship, regardless, but it's just the fear. Join the fucking like, I invite
No,
you,
no, 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 no.
but
I was doing this because I actually want to switch characters, but I wanted to wait for you to finish talking. So I don't want to
okay.
interrupt you. So like I'm just like
Wow.
anyway, I need to
Oh,
interject here. I think what
yes.
you're saying is definitely true. Like I've been through some relationships, although not recently, but I know that like when you come out, when you first walk out of a relationship, there is this almost like profound and like magical in a bad way, of course, but like magical effect that we don't really fully understand, where you go through so many emotions at once and you find yourself to be very unpredictable in your own life, and sometimes that can be really scary, and like that actually causes you
Yeah.
to lose trust with other people and makes you
Hmm.
not want to try to like find another person in like a short amount of time. And I definitely think that that's valid. Hold on, I'm getting a call.
Yeah.
It's like you're very slow to trust, right? And you're also going through so many emotions at once that it's very intense. And I definitely know the way that you are feeling. Like, it's not that you're still in the very intensely heartbroken phase, it's just that you're in the healing phase, and during this healing phase it's hard for you to imagine yourself like risking or taking that risk to be in a romantic relationship again, since you just
Yeah,
experienced one that
definitely.
did not work out, right? So like I totally get that. I think it's definitely like valid, um and like it's reasonable. I think it's like great to take the time to figure out what you want to do and um what you are looking for in the other person, because I feel like every relationship definitely does teach you more about what you want. And
Yeah.
like that's something that I think is also like, I guess, kind of like a silver lining. And like
Hmm.
I think it's really nice to go through that sort of process in terms of like, oh, like in the future this is what I will like view as a red flag, because I know that I'm a person that cannot deal with this. And this is what I feel like, oh, this is a good sign, you know, like this is like, oh, my partner is actually committed to this relationship, or my partner is something or someone that I really think is right for me. Like that kind of feeling is something that we're all searching for. I feel like, I think before you succeed, or before you find the quote unquote right person in your life, it'll be very hard to have that feeling consistently, because like, you know, in the beginning there's the honeymoon phase, right? You just feel like, oh, this is so going so well, you know, this is like great, like this person is like, oh my god, it's my future husband or wife or whatever. And it's just like there's that effect, definitely. Like I've been through it many times where I
Yeah.
feel like I was under that heavy copium that like, oh, this is going so well, even though the warning signs were already there when I look back now, um like when I look back
Yeah,
into
but
the past, right?
there's like a quote that I really like from Chinese. It's like旁觀者清，當局者迷. So when you're in a like situation, not even a relationship, when you're in the situation, when you see only like the things that you selectively want to see and you can't really see the full picture, it's difficult because you're
Right.
in the situation right now. And you judge based on how you feel sometimes, not, like objectively how things are. And that like gives you like a different judgment that you would make if you're on the other side, if you're outside of the situation and then you're like just looking back in as like a third person perspective. And there's definitely a lot more feelings involved if you're talking about a romantic relationship because, well, to be fair, you like the other person, that's why you're in a relationship in the first place,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and that
yeah.
just makes it even harder. And but that's okay because, well, everyone suffers pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And, I actually just talked to my therapist last night, and she
Uh-huh.
actually said that I'm doing, like, a lot better. Like, I'm dealing it with it a lot better than she expected, which is, I
That's
mean,
great. That's wonderful.
And yeah, and I realized, like, this kind of jumping into relationship really quickly and not really thinking it through, like, not really giving it time, and it's becoming somewhat of a self-destructive behavior. And I feel like this is the time where I really need to kind of like focus on myself first and really
Right.
understand what I need, because I also find out that something that I've been really struggling with is I always try to prioritize everybody else's need before mine, and
Right.
that's not necessarily a good thing. Like, that might
Mhm.
help you to keep a lot of people in your life, but it also sacrifices yourself completely and makes you feel like
Definitely.
shit.
I obviously don't know what your therapist expected you. Like, I don't know how they expected you to deal with this since they said, "Oh, you're doing it better than I expected." But anyways, I
Okay, she
think.
probably think that I'm so devastating crying and my bed can move and
Oh,
shit.
okay, okay. Well, we're past that. But anyway, I think definitely like I've seen people around me, including you, who are more heavily catering towards the other person's needs within that relationship when you feel like you're committed. No matter at what point in the relationship you start feeling committed, that tends to be a very common behavior that you would do for your partner. And in most scenarios, I would say that's beneficial. But once it gets to the point where there's an imbalance in the relationship, as in you're giving, let's like measure in units, okay? Let's say you're giving 2 units of attention per day to the other person, but they give you 1 unit of attention per 2 days. Let's say that, for example. And if that happens, then it creates this really big imbalance, right? And so
Yeah,
it makes it so
definitely.
that you feel like, oh, this is so exhausting, like I'm doing so much, you're doing nothing. You start to realize that, and then gradually it becomes too much for you to take. It causes like mental health issues. It also causes for your general stress level to go really, really high up because you feel like there's this extra layer of stress in your life that you shouldn't be having because you're supposed to like enjoy this relationship. You're supposed to enjoy being with someone that you care about. Um, and I think definitely there's like a learning curve there for everyone that's trying to seek a relationship where you're trying to figure out where's the balance, like what counts as caring too much, what counts as caring enough. Like that, those are two very different things, right? Because you can care enough and that will be very healthy because both of you are putting in that same amount of effort. However, when you're caring too much, it's either going to push that person away because they feel like you're getting too committed, or number two, it's like they're not at the same place in the relationship and they feel like,
Yeah.
you're pushing me to do more but I'm not ready, and so they start to actually do less, like even less. And so when that does happen, which I've experienced in my first relationship actually, I think it hurts like more than people would realize. It's not like, tonight I realize that there's an imbalance and tomorrow morning I could just wake up and end it. That's not like
Yeah, it
normal.
really isn't how normally people work, but
Yeah.
I've seen how how that can also play out sometimes in my own in like the previous one. And
Right.
like there's never like a set rules, and it's more like like application based. You can really just see for yourself how your situation is and how it is unfolding. And
Right.
sometimes you might not even realize it. And then it will be your body feeling all these like big emotions, but you just couldn't really label them, or you've tried hard, but it's just too complicated for your tiny brain to handle at the moment. And it's
Right, right.
totally fine. I literally told you, I remember calling you and be like, I feel like I'm going insane right now because I was
Right.
processing all of these emotions at once, and it was just a lot for me to handle. And after like hours of talking to almost all of my friends and like scared of like, annoying all of you and like losing you guys because like you guys might be, oh my god, like why did you just keep talking about this? And at the end of the day, you can only really talk about this, trying to write it out and like process the whole thing. There's no better way of like, oh, if I see that coming, I would have ended a long time ago. Like, obviously, after you look back, then you can say that. But in the moment, when your head is so
Obviously you
wrapped up in
care.
it,
Yeah.
really difficult. And, we're humans, we have feelings, we care. And the reason why you're in the relationship in the first place is because, well, you cared about the person and you liked
Exactly.
them enough
I'm thinking
that you
about, no,
left.
I'm just saying like in the past, like I've
No,
seen
I know.
people have that kind of attitude towards others. I've
Mhm.
definitely like I've definitely seen that, right? And
A
so
blade embraces its
I'm not
duty.
saying that like this is
This
impossible
is
because in
Nora,
some
by the
very
way.
toxic.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. In some toxic relationships, it's definitely possible. I think, but you can't
Only
generalize.
those who sample it many times
I
can
understand.
appreciate
Of
its
And
course.
so
potential.
sometimes it's actually better, like you said just now, for people to separate because it's just better for their own personal situations or where they are in life. It it
There's a
may
lot
not
of courage.
be exactly, and also yeah, of course, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to
You're
like
trembling.
acknowledge the fact
Is
that
it the cold
this is
or
over.
just
Like this is not
cowardice?
gonna work out, even though you still may have some form of romantic feelings for the other person,
Your fate.
right? And so
Yeah.
Here comes the
that's
catastrophe.
also something that I definitely understand.
Easy, lass.
We're doing great.
We're doing amazing. Oh my god, I can't believe. And also, one more thing that I think really helped me
Gotcha.
with like this, like not just healing, but like I guess like getting back to singleness because like it's been a while. I'm not very used to this again.
Did she literally just turn into a tornado at 1 HP? Yes, go on.
I
It's fine.
mean, okay, go off, girl.
Quietly now.
Either way.
Never
Oh, she died. Okay. So, yeah.
Never.
One thing that I've learned, yeah, one thing that I've really used to distract myself throughout this uh time period was to get on TikTok because I still have access to TikTok
That's great. Yeah.
in Canada. I realized that when I get onto these social media, I don't know how the algorithm knows, but it knows that I am recently got out of a relationship and like pretty hurt. And I keep getting bombarded by videos, like whether it's like form content or like longer form content about
Alright,
relationship
maybe
advice.
I'll take
I think, at least in my case, I can speak for everyone. No contact is hard.
Right.
Like, freeing yourself up to delete or block the other person's contact is extremely, extremely tough. And you may thinking like, but I've really blocked them on everything. It's not like I can get back to them or they can get back at me. But you're just creating so much
the
more
blade
space
is like
for
a tree.
imagination to be like,
Only those who
oh,
sample
if
it
I
many
didn't block
times can
them, maybe they'll
appreciate its
message me. Maybe they'll
pitfalls.
come back and say that they're sorry and stuff. But
Right.
if you
Yeah,
didn't block
I
them, then you would have already know if they're gonna come back or not. And for the most part, think about the question of whether them coming back is a good thing, like actually, not just for your, like happiness, but for long term, like your mental health, everything. Is that a good thing, or is just a temporarily like he's like giving me response again? There's more dopamine buttons for me to push.
yeah, I think definitely when you're looking at TikToks and social media like YouTube Shorts, it's easy for you to think that, oh, like we should just all hate our exes and like once we break up, just cut off everything with them. It's a form of what I would like to call like easy closure. But this form of easy closure that comes at a very like fast sort of like gratification, gives you very fast satisfaction. It doesn't last very long because it's not actually closure, right? It's more like, oh, I'm just gonna make sure that this person is not gonna message me or try to contact me. But at the same time, if you were in a serious relationship, let's say that, and you were actually committed to the other person, it may be better for you to actually establish some sort of like form of long-term closure with that person and try to talk things out and make sure that like, okay, so now that we talked it over after both taking the time to calm down, we've decided that this relationship is not good for the both of us, and then you guys move on. That I think is the most healthy way, or the healthiest way.
At any point when like it starts becoming abusive, then you have to be very clear about your boundaries. That's
Yeah.
also one thing that I've learned. If you guys are mutually respectful of each other's space and give each other time, and I just don't think that's necessary.
I mean, I think that's a good point to just pause our discussion. It's been
Yes.
around 30 minutes. I think that it was very nice just to like kind of talk things out about like the way we feel about these things. I'm not sure what type of content I would categorize this as because like there was gameplay, right? But there's
Relationship
not much
advice.
gameplay. And I definitely wouldn't say that like we're the like standard answer for any of these things that people are going through. I'm just saying that like it's nice to talk things out, and I wanted to actually also maybe hear what you guys think about these things. Like it's really open ended when it comes to relationships, and everyone's experience is really different. So I guess that's also something to think about. But let me know what you guys think about this content. Like I'm gonna probably continue it for another couple episodes. But until then, I guess this is it for today, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.